Good morning, everyone. It's about 1 minute after time for the call to start, so we're going to go ahead and kick off our Monday morning call. We got about 50 listening in this morning, and it seems to be a lot like my church service. I joke with my wife, and any of you tell her this, I'll tell her you're lying, but we start our service off with a song, and I joke with her and say that she has never heard the first song in our church service. She's wrangling up our boys. I sing in the praise band, so I get there early, but we'll have some more folks joining in nonetheless. I want to remind everyone that your lines are muted, and I'll unmute you closer to the end of the section. We're going to have a couple fantastic guests with us today. Mr. Mike Zaino is going to kick us off with a devotion here in just a second, and then Mr. Anthony Rose with Diversified Final Expense Specialist is going to join us to cover some very hot topics in the insurance industry. This is a phone call that we do weekly, 11:30 Eastern Time, 10:30 Central. Out on the West Coast, it's 8:30, so most of you guys are just wrapping up your breakfast. But it's a great opportunity for us to keep plugged in, good training sessions, a lot of stuff that we want to cover with you and keep you plugged in. Always know that after the call is over, if you didn't get a chance to ask your question or you have additional questions, feel free to email those to me at DHOSH, which is DHOSCH, at onelifeamerica.com. More than likely you received an email announcing this call, and all my contact information is at the bottom of that in my signature line. There again, the purpose of this call is just stay plugged in, and we're going to get kicked off with our devotion this morning. Today we have with us Mr. Mike Zaino. Mike Zaino has been with One Life for almost a year, and he serves as an agency director and manager. He's quickly moving up the One Life ranks. He has his priorities in order. In just my short time of seeing him here at the academies and being around Mike, I know that he has it in order. And with Mike, I see his family and I see the effort that he puts in. He has a beautiful family, and I follow him on Facebook, so I see that he's attending church services, and his message that he broadcasts is one of those as a Christian. So without further ado, Mr. Mike Zaino, are you with us?
I am, sir.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, thank you for the kind words. Guys, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit this morning about teamwork. For any of you who know me, know that I'm a huge sports fan, and I'm probably showing my age here, but there was a guy by the name of Casey Stengel. He was nicknamed the Old Professor, was an American Major League Baseball outfielder and a manager, and was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame back in 1966. But between playing and managing, he is the only man to have worn 4 of New York City's Major League clubs' uniforms. He once made a comment about the challenge of managing a professional baseball team, and his observation applies to life in general. And what he says was, it's easy to get good players. Getting them to play together, that's the hard part. And see, each of us faces that issue. In other words, how do I blend my abilities and talents with those of other people? How do I cooperate with others so that we can reach our goal? And that question applies both to business, to family life, and then certainly with our walk with God. There are individual sports and there are team sports. Wrestling, boxing, golfing, those are individual sports where you're completely on your own. Basketball, baseball, football are team sports. You're only as successful as the team is. And Christianity and life really, are both team sports. The key to success is knowing how to work well with others. There's 2 things that hinder a team from being successful, and those are pride and selfishness. Jesus instructed everyone, even leaders, to lay aside pride and to live to serve others. The Apostle Paul understood the value of working effectively with others, and he emphasized teamwork because he knew that we could only reach our goals through mutual effort. In his letter to the Philippian church, he passed on his advice, or this advice, about successful living. In Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4, Paul said, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. Paul pointedly addressed a very destructive attitude, and that was the attitude of selfishness. Focusing on ourselves and our own interests at the expense of others will ultimately leave any of us isolated and ineffective. When Paul wrote to the Philippians, he mentioned selfish ambition, and what he meant was self-seeking that focuses on the question that we hear all too often, what's in it for me? Too often in today's world, again, that is the prevailing question. Paul's additional challenge was to consider others better than you, and that battles against selfishness. That advice goes against every innate human nature. We live in a highly competitive world where winners are rewarded and no one wants to be a loser. Yet, Paul exhorted us to focus not on our gifts and ourselves, but on others and their gifts. Now, that doesn't mean at all that I deny what God has given me, but it does mean that I value highly what God has given others. Everyone has some skill set that makes him or her better than I am at some things. No one has it all, and what God has given others is important to each of us. Each individual has some unique combination of gifts and personality that gives him or her great value. And Jesus wants us, his disciples, to model unselfishness. Little story, during the 1964 Olympics, in the two-man bobsled competition, a British team driven by a guy named Tony Nash had just completed its first run and was in second place. And then they made a most disheartening discovery. They had broken a bolt on the rear axle of their sled, which would put them out of the competition. The great Italian bobsled driver Eugenio Monti, who was in first place at the time, heard of their misfortune. What he did was remove the bolt from his rear axle of his own sled, and he sent it to them. The British team placed it on their sled and then raced down the mountain, winning the gold medal. Monti's Italian team took the bronze medal for finishing in third place. When asked about his act of sportsmanship, Eugenio Monti modestly replied, "Tony Nash did not win because I gave him a bolt. Tony Nash won because he was the best driver." And because of his unselfishness, Monti was given the first de Coubertin Medal for sportsmanship. The award, which was named after the founder of the modern Olympics, is one of the highest honors an Olympian can receive. See, God honors unselfishness. It is the only attitude that will make us winners in the end. And as Casey Stengel demonstrated with the New York Yankees, championships are won when individuals play together. It works for church, and what's more, it works in everyday life, and it will work for any of us. And the reason I bring that to light today is that we as individual producers sometimes can fall into that routine where we're just going out day in and day out and personally producing, and we're forgetting that we have a team of people and a support structure around us, whether it's your manager, whether it's other producers, that are within the One Life family, or whether it's the support staff at One Life. So make sure that you are using those resources and plugging in on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis, and you'll get the most out of working together as a team. So that's what I have this morning, and thanks for listening.
Production update from 9/8 to 9/12. $478,000 of submitted annual premium as a company. KT Tyler was Agent of the Week with $13,694 of submitted annual premium. Following him was Steve Verdemy, $8,434 of submitted premium. Steve, $7,758 of annual premium. Jimmy Fowles, $7,100 of annual premium. Shane Burnett, $6,795 of submitted annual premium. Robert Edmonds, $6,731. Kenny Conwell, $6,528 of annual premium. Ken Parker Jr., $6,425 of submitted annual premium. Matt Hudson, $6,181 of annual premium. And Scott Shaddy rounding out the top 10 with $6,149 of submitted annual premium. Some things to keep on the radar. Top Gun kicked off this morning. Hope everyone is getting prepared to get their week started. It's a 2-week run and gun contest. Maverick, top place, pays $5,000 in pocket money. Iceman bonus of $3,000. Slider is $2,000. Fourth place is Viper at $1,000, and Cougar's going to round out at $500. Anyone that breaks the $40,000 submitted annual premium mark is going to get an extra $1,000 bonus. The Academy, October 6th. We are 2 weeks away, October 6th to the 8th. So make sure, managers, that you're keying in your agents. We have a good group. I'm going to send an email out this afternoon to the management staff and let them know where we are with our count on Academy attendees. In tandem, we're going to have the Leadership Summit. And, man, the agenda is looking fantastic for that. So all managers, I'll be giving you a call if you have not committed to be here. We'd love to have you here. Social media, make sure you stay plugged in with our Facebook, YouTube, all of our different outlets. There's videos going up weekly. We had a Derek Moore video go up end of last week. Moore's Motivational Minutes will be coming out today as well, so stay on the watch for that. Always remember that you can keep up with us by texting to the number 40404. Follow One Life America, and One Life America is all lowercase and together, no spaces. So it's follow ONELIFEAMERICA. You'll get information on conference calls, production reports, all kind of good information you'll get there. And I promise we won't blow your phone up, but it comes in as a text. Upcoming newsletter, that'll be coming up here real soon, so keep a watch out for that. We've got some real good people slated to be on that, to be in the newsletter. Some real good information for you there as well. And I want to find this phone number here real quick because I want to unmute the line shortly for Mr. Anthony Rose. Anthony Rose is part of Diversified Final Expense Specialist. And Anthony has been in business for 22 years in the insurance industry, with 19 of those years in working in final expense. He is no stranger to the final expense industry, and this something that they hold very dearly to them is production quality. One thing that I want to mention is Anthony's dad is Mike Rose Sr., and him and Kim Parker have been friends and business associates for many years. They run a top-notch organization out of New Jersey and have for the past 35 years. I've reviewed these guys' training materials, and production quality is utmost important to them. They are a firm believer in the Dignity Plan and how to produce that plan and how to present that plan to drive premium up, and obviously business placement and business retention ratio will pick up tremendously. So without further ado, Mr. Anthony, are you on the phone with us?
I sure am. Thank you very much, David.
All right, Anthony, take it away.
Great. The purpose of this call today is so that everybody on the call can possibly make a little extra money this year. Our agency, like many others in the final expense industry, used to try to write as much business as we possibly can just so that we could be number one with a bunch of insurance companies. And we sure were. We were number one in submitted business. But at the end of the day, we suffered a 60-61% placement rate and found that we were working very hard and not getting paid for the work that we were doing. Today I want to show you how you can possibly increase your placement rate or your persistency rate by just 2.5% to 5%. And if you do that, you'll put a bunch of extra money into your pocket. This information is not just for agents that are out in the field. It's also for anyone who trains an agent. Historically, we found that if a manager or a trainer has a poor placement or a poor persistency rate, so does everyone on their team or everyone that they've trained. We basically implemented 11 things that increased our placement rate to an average of 83.7% over the last several years. Now, many agents stop and think, I want to have some better business. So after I write business, what can I do to make sure it stays on the books? And the first thing that you need to do is stop thinking that it's after you write the business. The quality of your business begins before you even meet your prospective client. So the first thing out of the 11 things we implemented is simply being prepared. Anybody that you go and see wants to meet a professional. If you come across as a professional, you will be representing a professional organization. When I say that, I mean someone who's not going in and fumbling looking for paperwork, someone who looks completely unorganized. That's not going to help you earn the respect from your prospective client that you need in order to retain their business. You don't need someone else going in behind you and knocking the application out that you just wrote because they seem to be more professional than you. So first, make sure that you are prepared to be a professional. Number 2, establishing rapport. Every person on this call, I'm sure at one point or another in their life, has had buyer's remorse. But we really liked the salesperson who sold us whatever it was that we bought. So because we liked that person, we didn't cancel what we bought or we didn't return what we bought. You must make a friend with people that you see. It will make it a lot more difficult for them to call and cancel if they like you because they will feel guilty. If they buy from you but you don't have a relationship with them, there's not going to be any guilt. They won't have any problem at all in calling the company direct, going around you and canceling the plan, and you won't find out until it's too late. Take the extra time that you need to take to make sure that the person likes you and is willing to share their true needs with you. Make sure that the rapport that you've established is there before you move on to the need. Make sure that your new friend, if you will, knows that you have 2 or 3 kids. You must make sure that you are a friend before you move on. Number 3, this one's a little bittersweet, pushing them into a plan that they can't afford. There is no better feeling than walking out of someone's house and having a check in your hand for $225, and that's going to be the monthly premium. Oh, man, that's fantastic. I'm at $2,500 for the week already, just from that one house. The challenge is, how long is that piece of business going to be on the books? Was that person really sold? If you have a conversation with them about their financial situation and it's very obvious that every penny matters, don't let them enroll in a plan that's $185 a month, knowing that it's going to cancel next month. Now, understand that I'm not telling you to prejudge a person based on their living conditions. I'm telling you to use your head. If a person tells you they can't afford more than $50 a month, but your presentation was the most moving, emotional presentation that's brought tears to their eyes, question them when they say, you know what, I've changed my mind. I think I want to spend $190 a month now instead of the $50 I told you I was going to struggle to spend. You have to kind of stop and say something simple like, Mrs. Jones, my job is to make sure that your daughter Mary has the money that she needs on one of the most difficult days of her life. And I want to make sure that you understand that this $185 is something that is paid each and every month. And I'm telling you this, Mrs. Jones, because I don't want you or Mary to find out that you don't have a plan after 2 months because you couldn't make the payments. Are you sure you're comfortable with this $185 a month? And again, understand this is bittersweet for me to say this, but you have to use your head to make sure that you haven't walked out with 1 month payment. That's never going to do anything but add some premium to your premium per lead. Also, when you question, are you sure you're comfortable with $185 a month, you're kind of taking it away from her a little bit. And it also reassures Mrs. Jones that you do care about her, and that's why you're asking the questions. David mentioned dignity. Approximately 93% of the applications that we write on a weekly basis are submitted with a dignity application. I could speak for a very long time on dignity, so I'm going to keep this part of it a little brief and just kind of give you the understanding of why we use it. It absolutely, positively increases your persistency rate. A final expense plan and a dignity plan go hand in hand. When you are going into someone's home, you are trying to fill 2 needs. You're trying to fill an emotional need, and you're trying to fill a financial need. Your goal is to make sure that everyone you are presenting to feels like you've truly filled a void for them. When something happens to Mrs. Jones, her daughter Mary is going to walk into a funeral home and going to have to answer 120 questions on one of the most difficult days of her life. She's going to be sitting there questioning, is this what Mom would have wanted? She's going to walk out of the funeral home saying, did I make the right decision? And these are questions that Mary is never going to know the answer to. By having Mrs. Jones record what it is that she wants, she's helping to remove the emotional burden that Mary is going to have when something happens to her. You then fill the financial burden by selling them a final expense plan. Now, when you walk out of the house, many times clients feel like they have an entire package that they've purchased for you, and they won't cancel their final expense plan if they start to get buyer's remorse, quite honestly, because they feel like they're going to lose their dignity plan. They understand that it's a whole package that's been sold to them, and there is quite a bit of value there. Number 5, post-dating. Mrs. Jones, the best part of our plan is you don't have to pay for this for 30 days. I know there's a bunch of you on the line that are laughing, saying, I can't believe that someone says that. And I promise you there's a bunch of you on the line right now that are selling by utilizing, you don't have to pay for this for 30 days, Mrs. Jones. You might as well say to Mrs. Jones, why don't you make a decision if you really need this in a month when I'm not here and when everything that I've sold you on is no longer in your head? I understand that sometimes you have to deal with either post-dating a draw or post-dating a check, but do yourself a favor. Do not offer this up unless you absolutely have to. Have Mrs. Jones understand that she can be covered immediately instead of waiting a month. Stress the importance of getting coverage today, and don't set it up as one of the standard selling tactics that you use. You will have a terrible, terrible placement rate if this is what you are doing. Number 6, also just as bad as post-dating, selling on the 30-day free look at the close. Might as well say, Mrs. Jones, let me just submit this because I need to increase my premium per lead and look, good on the production reports. It will fall off a huge percentage of the time. If someone really has to think about it and they're that strong, utilizing the free look is not going to be the thing that sells them. You have to step back and realize that they either don't like you or they're not sold. It's not about them thinking about it over the 30-day free look. Go back to whatever their need is. I have to think about it is the same thing as them saying, you have not sold me yet. Number 7, cementing the sale. Cementing the sale is just reviewing the decisions. Review, Mrs. Jones, we've enrolled you in a $7,000 final expense plan. You're going to pay for this on the 5th of every month. That is when your bank is going to send us the payment. Make sure that they understand that it's $45.72 a month. Make sure they understand that you are there for them. It goes back to establishing rapport. This is not only going to keep the business on the books, it's going to give you business in the future. Give them your phone number. Give them your office phone number. Give them your cell phone. Whatever it is you need to do, give them your phone number. You don't want them to call the carrier direct to cancel the plan. You have to be their guy. You have to be their gal. You have to be the person that they go to if they need something. You can only reconfirm that by cementing the sale. Now, those are 7 of the 11 things that we've done. And if you notice, you haven't even left the house yet for the first 7. Those are all things that you need to do while you're in the home. Now, you've left the house, and you get paid well for what you do. But there are some things that you have to do to keep getting paid. Now, I want everyone to just think this through. You take 50, 60, 70 leads. You go out, you make 100, 150 phone calls. You go knock on doors. You spend your gas money. You spend your valuable time just to get in front of someone. You then spend your valuable time making the presentation, uncovering an emotional need, writing an application, scrubbing it, submitting it. It's a lot of time. Your time is worth money. It's worth a lot of money. Some of you even go and spend your money before you've gotten the commission. You've done all of this, and then you'd be willing to lose the business because you did not want to take a 4-minute phone call from the client? You didn't want to take the 5 to 10 minutes to return a phone call or call a client because their payment bounced? Think through how much work you've put into writing an application. Don't let it fall by the wayside because you didn't do the work that was necessary afterwards. So number 8 is not getting pending requirements simply because you're afraid to call them and ask them for it. Sometimes something so small is missing from an application, and an agent is expecting a clerk at an insurance company to follow up with the client to get that for them. A lot of times the client isn't going to answer the phone, but they know you. You're their friend because you've established rapport. Make sure you follow up to get those pending requirements. That's number 8. Number 9, answer your phone if a client is calling you. If your phone rings and you see it's a client on an application you just wrote, what's the biggest fear everyone has? Oh no, they're calling to cancel. I better not answer the phone. They're probably going to cancel on me. Think that through. Maybe they're calling you just to say, I'm not sure if I can afford this $92 a month premium. I really can only afford $80 a month. You're better off saving it and getting an $80 premium than a $97 premium versus calling the company direct and just saying, cancel the policy, I can't afford it. Or better yet, maybe they're calling you to say, hey, thank you so much. Is there anything you could do so that I can get my sister one of these plans too? Answer the phone. Don't run from your clients. Number 10, I don't care what carrier you're writing. Every carrier has information on their website. Check to see where your business is at. So many times people will have a policy for 3 years and all of a sudden their payment bounced. All of a sudden they don't make a payment. Something's wrong. It could be a bank change that they made that they forgot to notify the insurance company. It could be an error on the insurance company's part. It could be something so small. Make sure you work your business. Follow it on the website. Follow it on whatever reports are being sent to you, and call your clients. Lastly, something that's made a big difference for us. Number 11, birthday cards and holiday cards. It shows that you are their person. It makes sure it stays on the books. You get referrals. We get people that call us here at the office just to thank us for the birthday cards. The cost of doing so is so small. One piece of business that you save could end up paying for the entire year's cost of sending the birthday cards. Those are the 11 things that we did to put in place. I know I hit you with a lot in a short amount of time. Hopefully everyone could work to just work their business, make sure that they're establishing a rapport with their clients, utilize dignity, and if you can bump up that placement or persistency rate by 2, 3, 4%, you're going to put a lot of extra money in your pocket this year. Any questions, David? I think we're going to open it up to.
We are. We're going to open this up for questions. So let me set this. You can unmute yourself by hitting *6 for a question for Anthony or Mike or myself. So if any questions about business quality and the 11 steps that Anthony just ran through, please feel free to ask.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Keith in California. What is the Dignity Plan app? I'm not familiar with that.
Anthony, do you want to cover that? Anthony, you still with us? All right, I'll cover that. Dignity Plan.
I got it now. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Keith, Dignity is a company that we use that basically makes they have a person pre-plan what their final wishes are. And they can do it in the form of paper. They can do it in the form of calling into an 800 number. They can do it on a website, which the website is spectacular. And people could decide, hey, I would like to have a burial funeral. I would like to be wearing my red dress. It could be as detailed as that. I would like to be at this funeral home. I don't want a service. These are the people that need to be contacted when something happens to me. It's lots of details that when, I think I use Mrs. Jones and Mary as an example. When Mary goes down to the funeral home, she's going to have to answer all these questions. And here she's sitting there saying, my goodness, what did Mom want? So many people, so many families fight when someone passes away because they didn't know what Mom wanted. And by simply having them record it, it makes a huge, huge free gift that you're giving people when walking in the home. Keith, have you been to an academy at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I believe, David, Dignity is coming into every academy, are they not?
They are. Jessica Sola comes in and really does a thorough job of explaining how to use the program.
Okay. For people that are not attending the academy, is there a way that they can get Dignity information, supplies, linked to the stuff?
Absolutely. Sorry for interrupting, but on the e-learning site, the One Life America, there's a Dignity section on there, topic 12, 13, 14, somewhere. It's down in the carrier, right underneath the carrier's information. And there's a link that will actually take you directly to Dignity's website, to the One Life co-branded page, and you can go through their certification. And the certification process does a great job of explaining how to use the program. And I think, if I can interject, you're showing what the cost of a funeral is. That's a huge benefit of putting a dollar amount. So many people are naive to the fact of what today's standards and what today's costs are for funerals or for cremations or for whatever. So it actually puts that dollar amount associated with the funeral, and it gives them an understanding of what type of coverage or how much coverage they need. And then it ties two separate plans. A lot of people feel they don't want to drop their insurance because they'll lose their Dignity plan, or vice versa. They don't want to drop their Dignity plan. They might lose their insurance. It's kind of a package deal to help with that placement and persistency.
And it does add a couple of minutes to your presentation, but the bottom line is, if it's going to stay on the books, it's worth spending that couple minutes. And it also, by the way, increases your premium per sale, because, like David said, you can actually show them. In San Diego, California, this is how much a funeral is going to cost me for a traditional funeral. And like David said, you don't know. They were not aware of how expensive it was going to be. So it's definitely a great tool that you should get some more information on.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You got it.
Any other questions for Anthony or Mike? Anthony, from what I'm understanding through your 11 topics, I think a nutshell would be to go the extra mile, to take the extra step. Don't walk in the door, present, close, walk out the door, and wipe your hands and say, I'm through with that. If there needs extra attention, whether it be going back on an application because you made a mistake or missed something, they make a phone call to ask a question. They don't assume that they're calling to cancel their policy. If they are calling to cancel the policy, you would prefer to be the one on the phone with them to have an opportunity to save that business versus someone at the carrier. They're not going to do as good of a job of saving that business for you as you can on the telephone. So if I'm getting this right, you're just saying to spend the extra time, go the extra mile to service your clients.
To service the clients both at the end and at the beginning, because they won't call you if you are not their friend. You have to be their go-to person.
Any other questions for Anthony or Mike? If you have any further questions, feel free to email those to me, and I'll forward them on to Anthony. That's dhosh@onelifeamerica.com. Watch for Moore's Motivational Monday video. We are a few minutes past the 11 o'clock hour here Central Time, so we're going to start wrapping up. I do appreciate everyone being on the call, taking time out of your very busy day. Thanks to Mike Zaino. I was screaming at my phone while I was muted earlier. It looks like Control Center in my office with 2 screens and software and phones and paperwork, so I apologize. We're going to have technical difficulties. Understand it. Anthony's in New Jersey, Mike's in North Carolina, and I'm in Mississippi, but because of technology, we were all together on the phone today, and there's people here from all over the country. Hey, it's Monday. We got all week to get the job done. Thank you, everyone, for being on the call, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.